Still looking to get your hands on a Nintendo Switch Pro Controller but don't want to pay that hefty price? I may have found the perfect alternative for you. Coming up. Hey tubers, Ben the Curious Consumer here, and I have got another great video for you. I love a great deal. I am curious about finding that stuff out, and I'm always curious to find out how product works. That way I know how to fix it. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit that bell down below to notify you guys every time I make a new video. Let's jump into it. Nintendo Switch Pro controllers have been around since the Nintendo Switch has come out, and the prices haven't changed. They're about $70, $69.99. You could find them on sale every now and then, but they're pretty expensive regardless. Now, I love myself a good controller, as you all well know, and I have modified mine to have these removable parts, but I also put a grip stock on the bottom here so that way I don't lose any grip during a game session. Nintendo Switch Pro controllers are pretty unique. They have the NFC controller inside. You also have the little message underneath the thumbstick here, and they feel great. I actually have to tell you, this controller here is probably one of my favorite controllers to hold on to. Well, I've been researching online and I found a really cool alternative. The Nintendo Switch Pro clone controller. As you can see here, it looks identical. The internal components are a little bit different. You're not going to have the message underneath the thumbstick. And most Nintendo Switch third-party controllers don't have NFC support. This one does. It also has motion controls, so if you're doing any aiming in any of the games, it also has that too. Let's take a closer look at this controller to see how it stacks up to the original at half the price. Okay, so let's try this out. I'm going to turn on my Nintendo Switch, change the controller grips. So, change grip order. I'm going to put my controller down, hit OK. Now, I'm going to start the game with the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Let's get that synchronized in there. We'll jump into a game of Fortnite. I'm not going to play a lot. I'm just going to play a little bit just to show you how the controller actually works. Hopefully I don't get into any battles because I'm not very good at the game. So we'll speed forward on the loading portion. We'll get into the game, see how this controller functions, and then what I will do is I'll jump out onto the menu screen, resynchronize this controller in its place, and start playing the game so we can see how this controller performs compared to this controller. Alright, so just for the sakes of purposes of this game, I'm just going to show you that this gun obviously works. I can jump, I can do all sorts of good stuff. I'd like to pick that gun up. Alright. I can run. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to switch over to the other controller. I'm going to hit the home button. I'm going to change the controllers. And now I'm going to synchronize this controller by hitting the home button and the Y button at the same time and have that light quickly go across like this and hit the L and R buttons until it synchronizes. Alright, there we are. I'm synchronized. I'm going to back out of it, back out of this, going to go right back into the game and see if there's any difference here. So there's a little bit delayed. I'm getting a little bit of weirdness here. As you can see, I'm not doing anything. So the controller itself is so finicky because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. All right, there we go. Finally got back. All right. Can I get back to the... It's like really delayed right now. I love the fact that the controller itself looks the part, but I can't stand the fact that this controller is so finicky. I would love for this thing to be an alternative. I would love it to be an alternative, but for this purpose right here, the fact that I can't even get to this portion, this controller change, and get it to work right for you guys once is really driving me nuts. So right now, just not even having to take this controller apart to check out what the insides are, I can't recommend this controller to you guys. I mean, I would love to. I mean, if you guys want to try it, by all means, try it. If you guys are looking for, I don't know, a alternate case, like let's say your dog ate your controller case here and you didn't want to buy another $70 controller, this case may fit everything that's inside of this, but for what I'm getting out of this right now, and as you guys can see how terrible this is, I can't recommend it. Like, this is just insane that this is... All right, let's just try resynchronizing again. Press those two buttons down just so you can see that the lights are going there, and you can see that they're going quickly. At least I hope you can. I'm going to start checking the bumpers. Maybe this will work. All right, I'm paired again. Let's get out of here. Let's go back into the game. Let's see if the controller operates the way it's supposed to operate. And again, I'm getting that again. All right, I'm going to hit A when I'm ready. And now look, the controller seems to be working exactly the way it's supposed to. So it's so finicky. It's an up and down battle on this one. I'm going to have to say, again, if every single time you jump into a game and you've got to resynchronize the controller, that is going to be so frustrating for you guys that you're not going to want to play with this controller ever. But as you can see here, the controller seems to be working just fine. Right? It seems to be working exactly the way it's intended. I mean, I'm shooting the gun. You can hear the vibrations on the controller. I mean, it's very loud. But, I mean, if it performed like this all the time, I'd say definitely a recommend. Definitely a buy. But because it doesn't, if you see this thing online, do yourselves a favor and don't waste the money. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me. As you saw here, clearly the controller looks great. It feels great in the hands, but does not perform to the level that you would be expecting from a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Even though it looks identical, even though it feels identical, it does not perform identical. So I am not going to give this a buy. If I was to rank this out of 1 to 10 for buyability, I would probably give it a 2. Only reason I give it a 2 is because it feels like a Nintendo Switch Pro controller, and if you ever break anything on your Nintendo Switch Pro controller, saying like the outside, the case or whatever, I am sure that this controller will fit the internal components of this one. That is the only reason I give this a 2. I would not use this controller for any of my gaming. It is not consistent enough for me. It does work a little bit when it wants to, but because it does not work the way that I am expecting it to work, I cannot give this a thumbs up to buy. Well, guys, I hope you found that helpful. I do appreciate you guys stopping by. If you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. Once you do that, don't forget to hit that bell down below to notify you guys every time I make a new video. Thanks for watching.